Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Monday. Lots to talk about. We'll have JC, and then we'll have Mike Morgan from the SEC Network. But what a game last night. Phenomenal game. People can say what they want to say. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was tremendous defense the first three quarters. Exceptional play calling from the defensive side of the ball. But the best player that's ever played in the National Football League found a way to win the game. JC, you're on the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Duckfield Home Improvements.
Well, I thought the Niners were going to win, but I think you can officially say that the Chiefs are, well, they're a dynasty now. I mean, There's no doubt about it. They are a dynasty. If there's, look up whatever definition you want to for that word dynasty. But first repeat Super Bowl champion since the 03-04 Patriots, right? That hasn't happened in 20 years. They've done that now. And as we were talking before the show, 3 out of 4 Super Bowl championships for number 1-5. And was there any doubt, QB, we talk about how great he is, and I don't think there was any doubt that when they got the ball, they were going to get no less than a field goal and probably a touchdown. That's exactly what happened. But I thought one of the biggest plays of the game was Chris Jones, their defensive lineman, putting pressure on Brock Purdy on 3rd and 4 in overtime as the Niners were about to score a touchdown. Juwan Jennings was so wide open. He's going to sit around his house for 6 months thinking about what could have been if the ball had just gotten to him. And the reason why Purdy couldn't get him the ball, and Purdy played great too, by the way. I thought he was
phenomenal.
Yes, but the reason why the ball didn't get to Juwan Jennings in the back of the end zone was because of number 95, Chris Jones, who they franchise tagged and signed at the very last minute before the season. And if they don't give this guy a Quinnen Williams deal next year, then they hate him, because he is one of the two best. Him and Aaron Donald, and maybe throw in another guy, are the two best defensive linemen in football. And that guy should be highly, highly recognized for the way he played last night, along with the Chiefs defense. The Niners were wearing them out with the running game and so forth. And Kansas City would not break, and really did a great job. I think their defense should get a lot of credit. Spagnuolo is probably going to find a way to get a head coaching job somewhere in the NFL here. At least he should get another chance.
Well, I think all the jobs are filled, right?
Yeah, they are. I mean, at some point, maybe next year. He had a stint with the Rams. It didn't go well, but he is a tremendous defensive coordinator. It's unbelievable how that defense for Kansas City really made up for some of their shortcomings offensively, QB. And 15 did what 15 does. With Pacheco, and of course Kelsey woke up in the second half, had a great game. So and it's amazing how they use your tight ends. I mean, they're just so good at it, and those guys get open. Kelsey and the other guy, and I thought it was, like you said, it was a fantastic.
That was phenomenal. That was phenomenal. It was a heck of a game. I thought Wilkes called a tremendous game defensively for the Niners. It's heartbreaking the way they lost. I saw Bosa played outstanding. He was extremely disciplined in his pass rush. Early in the game, I thought Pat was leaving the pocket too much, moving around, and he was causing those sacks.
Tony Romo said that. Tony Romo agrees with you.
I was at a place where I couldn't freaking hear what Romo had to say. But
he was saying that, but listen, Randy Gregory and Young and Bosa were all over the place in their backfield last night. But I think Mahomes was forced to do a lot of that running with the way Randy Gregory and those other guys were playing. But my God, this guy is just unbelievable. If you don't think that he's not the best player in the NFL, it's because of a bias you have, and that's
JC. He's going to be the best quarterback to ever play in the game. If
you look at it objectively, there is absolutely no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind, and I'm not a Chiefs fan. I wear their hat, but I'm not a Chiefs fan.
Yeah, Buck says the Greenlaw injury was unfortunate. Yeah, man, tore his Achilles. Just Obviously, that Achilles was he'd had some issues before. You would think some wear and
Terrible.
tear on that thing because he
He was
just
just
jogging out on the field and bam, there it goes.
on a
So
special teams play. On a special teams play, you lose a linebacker to an Achilles injury who wasn't even on the field at the time. He was running onto the field. It's all.
yeah, Mark says Purdy may not be as talented as Mahomes, but he has just as much ice water in advance. Oh, he's out, dude. He's
Oh,
outstanding.
he's so
He's so
good.
good. You know who the highest rated high school quarterback that played in that game last night was, JC?
No, who?
Jawan Jennings.
Yeah, Joanne
He
Jennings
was the
was.
highest rated QB coming out of high school
Well,
that played in the
listen,
Super Bowl last
they
night.
knew what to do with him, didn't they? And
Yeah.
he had a good game. And man, he was so open in overtime if they couldn't. But Chris Jones saved the day for the Chiefs. This guy Jones, Mississippi State Bulldog. Okay, I shook his hand at the Dancing Rabbit Casino at the Silver Star Resort in 2014 when the Mississippi State Bulldogs were #1 in the country, I think, at one point under Dak Prescott. And Chris Jones in that senior class was excellent at Mississippi State. And man, they better lock him up long term or they're fools if they don't.
We got a lot to talk about today. I
Yeah,
was hooked into two TVs at the
yeah,
Waste Management. I was pulling for Charlie Hoffman. He lost, but give
I know.
Nick Hardy credit. Nick Hardy birdied 5 of the last 6 holes, including
Who is Nick
sudden death.
Hardy? Who is Nick Hardy?
Nick Hardy's the Canadian that won the golf tournament.
That would be Nick Taylor.
Nick Taylor.
But
Nick
that's
Hardy. I don't know
okay.
who Nick
That's
Hardy
right.
is either.
George,
Yeah.
hey, George Pearl got his ass kicked over the weekend at Gainesville QB.
Yeah.
So
Who
that's
the hell is
okay.
Nick Hardy? Why do I have Nick Hardy written down? Oh, yeah.
Look, that
So, but
guy,
it was
what a
phenomenal.
putter. What a putter, man. You know, he was the guy who made that long putt the Canadian Open to win. And his friend Adam Hadwin got tackled by a security guard. Nick Taylor has now
Yeah.
won twice on tour, and it's because of that flat stick, that 4-degree wedge that he can roll the ball, man. And Charlie Hoffman did all he could. First top 10 finish for Charlie, and I think forever. So
Yeah.
God bless him.
Jonathan on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, says, anyone say anything about the strength guy leaving? I was getting ready to bring that up. Craig Fitzgerald, who's been here for about 5 weeks, the new strength coach, has left to go to be the strength coach at Boston College. And people are making a big deal about this. JC, what is coaching all about?
Teaching?
Well, I mean, that's probably it's relationships.
Oh,
Okay.
well, that's part
He
of
was
it.
He was Bill O'Brien's strength coach at Penn State. He was Bill O'Brien's strength coach with the Houston Texans. So
Yeah.
this has nothing to do with Billy Napier, has nothing to do with the University of Florida. It's about relationships. People in that business, you
Hell
have
yeah.
to take off whatever school you root for.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
going to go work for people they're comfortable with.
Correct.
I just so look, we got to go find another guy. It is what it is. So
Look, Alabama lost their offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
Just
they haven't
over
even
the
filled that yet, have they?
No, they had him, Ryan Grubb, and said,
No, I'm talking
okay,
about you don't have an offensive coordinator right now, do you?
not right now. No, he just left. He just
Yeah.
left. Yeah, we've lost 2 offensive coordinators.
You also lost your O-line coach, I think.
Right. He went with Grubb to Seattle.
Yeah, it's all about relationships, and I'm not going to lose 1 ounce of sleep or care
Now,
about it.
Again, so much time on these assistant coaches that we spend. It's like they're
Well,
now.
I can't tell you how many texts and
Oh, I believe it.
Facebook messages. People are like, "F him," blah blah. Dude, you would do the same thing. You would go work with your buddy. I promise you, you would. I promise
Yeah,
you would.
that's it's a small business, dude. It's a small business, and they
and so in Gators softball, they go 4-1 down in the tournament.
Yeah.
Gators freshman pitcher, who's not even one of the stud pitchers. We have 3 freshman pitchers. 2 of them are studs.
Mm-hmm.
The third throws a perfect game. First time ever for a freshman pitcher. So
Good. 4-1.
we'll have Kevin O'Sullivan on Wednesday's program.
Love it.
Talk about their upcoming season. So
yeah, I mean, QB now with football over, it's officially hockey season and spring sport, college season, and college basketball season. It's official now.
Yeah. Gators, we'll talk more with Mike Morgan, but the Gators did exactly what I thought they would do to the Auburn Tigers.
I kept thinking about you watching that Florida game. Never in doubt. Good for them. They just slapped.
They're a team that can go to the Elite Eight, JC, and here's why.
We'll see.
Well, first of all, they've played really good basketball lately, even on the road. Auburn, to me, is a talented team. They have no size. Our height gave them serious problems, but our guard play
Yep.
was outstanding. And
Oh, it
they have
was
trouble scoring the basketball unless they're playing at home.
at home.
Tennessee got blasted at
Oh,
A&M.
blast.
Kentucky
Never
has
close.
lost three straight home games for the first time in the history of their program. I'm gonna can I'm gonna ask our listeners, can I be like JC? JC gets on a team and then he changes his mind
Yes,
every week.
change your
I'm
mind.
gonna go back and I'm off the Kentucky Wildcats right
I
now.
tell you, well, I never got on that wagon with you, but
No, but you're on a different team every week and then you change to another team. I
no,
don't
no.
usually stick to my guns.
I mean, I don't know about all that, but LSU's got a struggling team coming in here tomorrow night, and I'm sure Mike will pick up on this. But they've lost 5 out of 6, got absolutely blown out at home to Alabama. Alabama scored 109 points. I think they hit something like 19 3-pointers in that game. LSU's a 12-11 team, shouldn't come in here. And if Florida just doesn't come in, down after these big wins they've recorded in the last week and a half, 2 out of 3 huge wins, should have been 3. Florida should have no problem with this team, but it's college, right? These kids got to be out. It's an 8 o'clock game. It's late in the day, almost. Yeah, it's in the middle. It's in the nighttime. Sometimes these kids just don't come out and play hard at the very beginning of a game, and you let the other team hang around. Anything can happen. But I don't see LSU as a big threat. But I also see Florida's a team that's got to keep the intensity up, and that if they do that, they'll have no problem.
Yeah, well, our bye week helped us. I felt well. Although we look very well rested. Rules Over State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1770. We got JC on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. We'll have Mike Morgan, second portion of today's program on YouTube. Manuel states,
yeah.
He says, I will take Tom Brady and Dan Marino over Mahomes any day.
What?
Well, with all due respect, Manuel, I respect your decision, but I will disagree with it because I think Pat Mahomes, and I said this 3 or 4 years ago on this program, that I feel like 15 will go to more Super Bowls and will win more Super Bowls than anybody. And he has played 6 years in the National Football League. He's gone to 4 Super Bowls and won 3 of them.
Yeah.
And he could have been in all 6 Super Bowls, but he lost in overtime both times
in the championship
to Joe Burrow and to Tom Brady. So
yes, in the AFC championship game. I mean, They get to the far end of the playoffs. It seems like they're just normal. It's just normal for them now. Yeah, division QB. Think about that division, the AFC West, what they've done in it. And it's not necessarily an easy division, but it's gotten easier at times. But look at the coaches we're going to have in that division next year. You're going to have Harbaugh in Los Angeles. You're going to have Peyton in Denver. You're going to have, of course, Andy Reid in Kansas City. And then in Las Vegas, you'll have, of course, Antonio Pierce. But they like him there. So we'll see. Listen, man, great Super Bowl. The Chiefs are a dynasty. They are a dynasty, and that's all you can say.
And here's what's crazy is personally, I feel like this is the worst offensive skill group the Chiefs have had since Mahomes been there.
Right, but you have to hand it to Pacheco. He kind of emerged.
But from a receiver standpoint, they need to go. They need to draft a guy. Yeah. They need to draft a receiver, in my opinion, with the 32nd pick of the draft or whatever.
And there'll be somebody out there. There's always somebody out there at that point. Even at that stage in the draft, there'll be somebody they can get. But I mean, listen, the Chiefs are defensively, they really surprised me how good they played and how well they played, I should say. And San Francisco played well too. I mean, the 49ers,
they were great.
They're physical and nasty on defense, and their offense with Brock Purdy is dangerous. But man, you didn't see Debo Brandon Ayuk. He was running great patterns. I mean, great routes, and they do very well. And Kyle Shanahan, now this is the third time he's lost in the Super Bowl. Because as an assistant with the Falcons, he should have won the Super Bowl if it hadn't been for that dope Dan Quinn not doing the right thing in crunch time, showing that he's not a championship coach. And the Falcons should have beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan was the OC.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love Kyle Shanahan. I think he's phenomenal.
But this poor guy. I mean, he just can't beat the Chiefs. That's just all there is to it.
Yeah. Andy asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, does Kadarius Toney still get his playoff money? Yeah. If you're on the roster, you get paid, whether you play or not. You're going to get paid. So, Justin says on YouTube, brought you Quality Plumbing, leaving 5 weeks after on the job seems a little low. Commitment means nothing anymore. I mean, that happens in everyday life.
We're talking about this assistant coach again, right?
We're talking about the strength coach that's been here 5 weeks. But how many times, JC, even in your profession, somebody gets a job at a firm in Tampa, and then you got a different rep that sees you 3 weeks later because he went and moved to California. Happens all the time, right?
Folks will always do what's best for their personal situation and their family, right? They're always going to do what's best in their minds. For themselves. I mean, why does Jim Harbaugh leave Michigan? He leaves Michigan because he wants to do something else that he feels can further his career, and he wants to go back to the NFL. He was successful.
And majority of the people that Harbaugh has hired have a relationship with him.
Yeah,
and they've left whatever job they're at to go to San Diego.
Well, except the one they named the coach. Sharon. What I think his name is Sharon Moore. He's going to now coach Michigan. But you're right. I mean, he loved Jim Harbaugh. He took over when Harbaugh was suspended. And, I don't think Sharon Moore stays in Michigan if they don't give him the head coaching job. So he goes to the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh if he doesn't get the head job. And these guys want the head job. They want to be the man in charge. And so
some people do. For some reason, Ben Johnson turned down like $40 million.
Right.
And wanted to go back and make $2 million to call plays for the Lions. I don't understand that.
Get that either. Well, it's a relationship. He was comfortable with Dan Campbell. He wants to stay in
Detroit. But JC, if you're
another opportunity.
JC, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
He's married. He's got 3 little kids. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
$40 or $50 million. Go
Charlotte.
there and get fired.
Yes.
And your life has changed.
And live in Charlotte, which is
Charlotte. No. He was going to be the Redskins coach. Redskins. Okay. They both offered him the job.
Okay. Well, I thought it was Carolina too. But okay, so they both offered the job. Either way, yeah. I listen. There's something going on there. I don't know. Can't speak to that. But listen, man. Other than that, the waste management thing was great. I had Scheffler. You came in third. You had Heath. He came in fifth and should have done better. He missed some clutch putts on the back nine yesterday. Thigala. But this guy Nick Taylor, man, he's now going to the Masters. He's going
Nick Hardy.
Or Nick Hardy, yeah. He's going to his career is set till through 2026 now on tour. He's got a card through the 2026 season. He's going to go to the Masters. He's going to go to the PGA Championship. He's going to go to the Players in Jacksonville or probably it's a great thing to do is win on that tour, and you are set for 2 to 3 years and going to all the fun tournaments, the big ones.
Well, I will say this: Scotty Scheffler is the greatest ball striker to ever play on the PGA Tour.
But he's missing putts, QB. He's missing putts.
But nobody in the history of the game has struck the ball from tee to green like Scotty Scheffler. The stats don't lie either. I mean, it's nuts how good he is.
So good. He's so good. He'll win something this year. I think he's going to get something. It may not be a major. It may be a major. He'll be in the running for it, though, I can tell you.
Yeah. That. Michael makes a good point here for all our loyal listeners on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. How long was Austin Armstrong at Bama as linebackers coach before Billy got him to come to UF? It was like he was there for like a cup of coffee.
A half an hour.
I don't even think he got his briefcase unpacked.
Yes. I mean, he was there a half an hour. So, this is just the way of the world we live in right now, man.
JC, I got to read here for you. Yeah. Live a healthier lifestyle with our bold, flavorful smoothies and our amazing food. Tropical smoothie. When you eat better, you feel better, JC.
Dude, I had wait a minute. Big news flash. Found something now in my diet that I am obsessed with, and that is sushi. I went to the Bai Tai Tong sushi place on
Where's that
A1A. The Bai Tai Tong sushi place on A1A in St. Augustine, Florida, St. Augustine Beach, Crescent Beach, Butler Beach, whatever the hell beach they want to call it. It's right there by the Winn-Dixie. Bai Tai Tong. I went.
Can you spell that?
Bai Tai Tong. I think it's Thailand. BHITHITONG. Bai Tai Tong. And we went there, and I had some pei wu su, and I also ate these rolls. I mean, I had 3 of them. QB, forget the diet. I couldn't get off that. And then I went the next night, and there was no seats, so I sat up by the bar where the guys make it, and he gave me some freebies to try, and I just had the time of my life eating this sushi stuff. I couldn't believe I liked it. But she talked me into it, and now I'm all about the sushi. Bai Tai Tong. You got to go to Bai Tai Tong in Seoul.
So Tony says on Facebook Live, and you have to watch our program to understand this.
Good. So damn
for our golf picks, he says Shane will pick that guy to win the Masters.
Yes, although I think Bai Tai Tong.
Speaking of that,
yeah,
my golf group has a lot of former college golfers in it. JC, I found out this weekend my favorite golfer, caddy, is a former Gator who lives over the Jacksonville area, is now on my favorite golfer's bag. You know my favorite golfer is, right?
Yeah, it's Kim.
Tom Kim. Ju Young Kim.
Ju Young Kim, yeah. Kim.
So Paul Tesori, who played
he's
in
on
Florida.
the back.
He was on VJ, he was on Cameron Young, he's Webb Simpson. Starting next week, he's on the bag for my man Tom Kim.
It makes you wonder what makes these guys bounce around from golfer to golfer, and I
sometimes it's a relationship. Sometimes it doesn't work out, JC. Just like when you go out with a bunch of chicks. Sometimes you like them, sometimes you don't. You go find somebody you like.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mickelson was married to his guy, and for a while I thought Tiger was married to Stevie, but yeah, things happen. People break up, and then you move on to a different direction. But this guy, Tesori, he's been around, man. Vijay Singh was winning tournaments with Paul Tesori. I think he won the Masters with Paul Tesori, if I'm not mistaken. And I think, but he's been around. This guy Tesori, he's made quite a living as a bagger for these guys that win golf. He must be a really good caddy. That's all I can say. But he's
This is from Daryl on the Titan Mar text line. Shane, I'm with you. I think Mahomes will pass Brady for Super Bowl wins. Did you finally see the Dr. Pepper transfer portal? I didn't. I didn't pay any attention to the halftime show. I was talking.
Yeah.
And then I did pay attention to any commercials.
Yeah. And it's kind of a funny commercial, the transfer portal, sucking away these players from the coach. It's kind of funny. I'm not a big commercial. I'm like you. I don't get into all that extraneous stuff, and that, I don't care about the commercials. But women seem to like the commercials. I'll tell you that. But I'm not a big commercial guy.
Yeah.
Don't really talk about it. But that is funny.
Justin is disturbed about this strength coach leaving. He says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. This is the equivalent to a coach leaving during the regular season. Really puts Billy Napier in a bind, leaving in the middle of strength and conditioning season. Look, it's weightlifting, folks. I'm telling you, most all the teams do the same stuff. They have other people in there that can figure it out. Tell them how many times they need to squat, power clean, deadlift, how many sprints they need to run. He'll hire somebody. It's not that big a deal, though, in my opinion.
Hey, Justin, just go to Bai Tai Tong. You'll feel better about everything. That stuff puts you in a good mood. I don't know what is in there. I don't know what they've got going. But
Did you have any sake?
I can't believe I liked it so much. No, I just drank iced tea. But I can't believe I liked it so much. And this stuff,
JC, what raw fish were you eating?
Padme Sue, I think it's called.
What raw fish were you eating?
Gluten-free Padu Sue. I don't know. It was pink. It was green, yellow. It was I know what it is. Salmon, eel. They wrap it up in these things and they stick it on this plate. I got 3 of them and I ate them all. And then I got more stuff to bring home for lunch the next day. And then I went back the following night. It's the best sushi on the island, Anastasia Island, dude. Go to Bai Tai Tong. It's on A1A at Crescent Beach by the Winn-Dixie, in the Winn-Dixie shopping center. You wouldn't think that would be a great sushi place, but when you walk in there, it's legit, dude. You're in Thailand. That's where you are. You're in Thailand. The music there is all Thailandy, It's unbelievable. It was a cultural experience for me, and I am now a better person for it. Much more.
All right. Dan says on Facebook Live, the Wynn Casino was getting 3,700
Yeah.
bucks for a Sunday stay and had blackjack at $1,000 minimum.
Yeah, I mean look, the money was all over that strip last week. You know that Vegas. I'm going to look at these casino stocks. I should have looked at them earlier, but they had the Formula One thing.
That was a bust, though.
It was a bust, but I think they still had. Maybe it was a bust logistically with a lot of things, but the people with the money were still in the hotels. Okay, and then you have this Super Bowl, which I mean billions. And last night I think they said something like $21 billion throughout the entire country bet on the Super Bowl. The game was in a place where it was outlawed, where betting was outlawed outside of that place just 6 years ago. It's incredible how it's grown. I've talked about this on the show, and you've had billions of dollars and millions of people, 65 million people doing something on the Super Bowl to keep their interest because, my God, we watch the same teams every year, it feels like, San Francisco and the Chiefs. So,
you're going to probably see them again there next year.
Probably. With Mike coming on, our intramural champion, Mike Morgan's coming on. I want him to know that I, too, was an intramural champion.
He knows.
Okay, and good job, Mike. But when Mike goes on these cool places, these trips, when he's going to Fayetteville, he's going to Starkville, he gets these cultural experiences, kind of like what I had at Bai Tai Tong. And he gets to see all these cool little towns. And it's something that it was a dream of mine to do what he's doing. And I just applaud him for it because he's so damn good at it. And I really like listening to him. So have a good interview with Big Mike and just let's see.
All right, before we get out of here, we're going to do this day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. JC, this day last year, Pat Mahomes won another MVP. Beat Philadelphia Eagles 38-35.
Isn't it amazing how
isn't
it amazing when he was at Texas Tech, they didn't win a damn thing. But
I think Andy Reid's the greatest NFL
coach
too.
Think about what Andy Reid did in the second half and how much more effective and efficient they seem.
Yeah.
He makes these adjustments at halftime. He's just a Hall of Famer, man. He's one of the He's going to go on.
I mean, he's done it everywhere he's been. So he's a hell of a coach. All right, JC, go back to Bong Tong Hong or whatever you call it.
Tong, and let's bring on Mike. He gets some good basketball knowledge. I love listening to him. So let's get on.
All right, that's JC. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. Take a quick timeout. Come back. We'll be joined by Mike Morgan. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Duffield Home Improvements for your window, siding, and roofing needs. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us. Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Silverback Concrete's a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structures with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by it. We're going to go to the Titan Tomorrow hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. And this guy's brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union, the one and the only Mike Morgan from SEC Network. Good morning, Mike. How you doing, buddy?
Good morning, Shane. Good morning to your audience. Which, by the way, I got to say, shout out to Tony. I believe it's Angelini. I posted a picture on Facebook over the weekend. I had a game at Arkansas, and I did it with Joe Klein, 15 years in the NBA. Played with Jordan, Kobe, everybody. It seems like it's like the 6 degrees of Joe Klein. And so I had a picture of me shooting with his grandson, his 8-year-old grandson, and me shooting up a free throw. And he must have been listening to our segment last week because Tony chimed in on Facebook and goes, "Former UF intramural champion." I was like, yes, finally
Yes,
getting my props. Thanks for recognizing, Tony.
that's great. That's awesome for sure. Gene wants to know, does Mike Morgan play golf?
I do not very well. I even at my age now, late 40s. I am better at basketball than golf. But as long as the body can hold up in basketball, golf is a game, Shane. I love playing, love it. But man, it frustrates the hell out of me. And I just never put enough time and effort into lessons and doing what you have to do to truly get better. I do what you do to just have a good time and duff it around, but I haven't done the proper steps to get better. So I can go out there and, on a good day, shoot around upper 80s, 90, and on a bad day, there's no telling how bad it can be. But I do love playing.
Yeah, it's a great sport. All right, Mike, before we jump into basketball, just get your thoughts. Super Bowl's over with. Boy, I thought it was a phenomenal game. I know a lot of people complained about the first 2 or 3 quarters, but I thought the defense coordinators were spot on in that game.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I was look, I realize, we're in an offensive driven society. People want highlights, they want more touchdowns. We didn't have that early on. My favorite meme, if that's or GIF, whatever you want to call it, on social media last night was when it was like 6-3. Somebody flashed up a picture of Kirk Ferentz of Iowa and said, "Now this is my kind of game." Um, I thought that was really clever. But no, it was well played. It was well coached. I mean, if you're doing one of the carnival barking shows this morning, then you got to like tease to break. Coming up, we'll talk about the most regrettable decision that was ever made in the history of coaching, that cost the 49ers the game. I didn't see it that way. My only take, my rudimentary analysis of this game going in was I really want to pick San Francisco. I've had them quite a few games the last couple of years, and I love their roster and I love their lineup and their culture. But I just couldn't bet against Pat Mahomes. That's what I kept telling people. I just can't bet against Pat Mahomes because I thought it'd be a close game. It was a close game, and Pat Mahomes came up huge, and that's what we've become used to.
Yes, indeed. Moving forward, basketball, Gators just dismantled the Auburn Tigers, and Mike, I really thought Florida would win that game,
Yeah.
kind of easy because Auburn just didn't play great on the road. I feel like they have trouble scoring the basketball. Somebody texted me and said they're this in the nation in scoring offense, but they're a totally different team at home than on the road, and they don't
Yeah.
have great size. Florida has size that really bothered the Auburn Tigers.
I was on with Rick Neuheisel and Childers last week, and we're just breaking down the SEC. I hadn't talked to those guys in a while. I usually come on quite a bit during football and basketball. And Rick asked me because we went through the big players, right? We went through Tennessee, South Carolina, great surprise. They'll play Auburn on Wednesday night. Obviously, Alabama. And oh, yes, we did mention Auburn in that bracket. And then he said, well, give me a team that people aren't talking about right now. And I'm not lying. I did not hesitate. It took me a split second to say Florida. Florida has a roster that to me can certainly not just get in the big dance, but can do some damage because they have what I love to see. They've got great guard play starting right there. I mean, you've got 3, 4 guards that are difference makers. Obviously, Pullen is where it all starts. He's the engine. He's the point guard. But I love Clayton. At times, I love Richard. And now Kugel is waking up. So there you go. I mean, that's 4 guards, and then you got bigs. So I don't care if the big score a single point, but defense and rebounding, Todd Golden has 4 or 5 guys that can rotate in and out, that can defend, that can rim protect, and that can rebound. That's a winning formula. As long as you're committed on defense and you're connected all together, that's a winning formula. Why did they get off to a sluggish start? I don't know. I don't care because I see this every year. Teams peak at different times, and I'd rather peak in February, March than December, January. So I think Florida's a really dangerous team. I'll have them against Georgia on Saturday in Athens, and I'll have them 2 more times in Gainesville at the end of the month. But I think Florida is going to be a team that could start surging big time.
Yeah, I think they can go deep in the tournament. Obviously, it depends on who else is in their bracket, things of that nature. But the guard play, they just got some dudes that just know how to play basketball.
Yeah.
And all right. So the Vols go on the road and they get dismantled by A&M. I watched a lot of that game, and A&M was just the more physical basketball team. They got that one guy that's like 6'7". He's like Dennis Rodman. He gets every freaking rebound. It's nuts.
A&M is like, you ever watch those like National Geographic shows and they've got the close up and it's like this one really smaller insect or critter and then this big burly like stronger looking thing comes at them and you're like, "Oh, that little one's just going to get annihilated." But the little one has like some type of stinging mechanism or they spit out some saliva or something and you're like, "Oh, I didn't see that coming." That's A&M. They are not flashy, right? I get it. Wade Baldwin is an all conference guard, and by now everybody knows Boots and his story. So they got 2 good, tough guards. They're really like an old school Big East team. They would have been really good going up against like Georgetown and John Thompson and Raleigh Massimino and Villanova. That's how they play. But so they can beat anybody. Like I know for a lot of people that was a shocking score because Tennessee was looking so good. They were in the conversation for a number 1 seed. But A&M, particularly in their building, just you don't want to play them. They know how to turn it into a rock fight, and nobody wants to play a rock fight this time of year. And they just completely dismantled Tennessee. I'm still very high on Tennessee. Like that hasn't changed my opinion there. It's just a resume building win for an A&M squad that at this point is in very good shape to make the tournament. I think 9 teams are in very good shape to make it for the SEC, which would be a new record.
Live a healthier lifestyle with your bold, flavorful smoothies and amazing food. Tropical Smoothie. When you eat better, you feel better. I want to welcome Tropical Smoothie to the program. Appreciate them supporting us. And we got Mike Morgan on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. Andy's question here is, I'm kind of off this team. The Kentucky Wildcats lost first time ever, lost 3 home games in a row at Rupp Arena. Mike wants to know, what do they need to do to turn things around? Well, they got to guard the basketballs, one. But good gracious, that the natives have to be really restless right now.
They are beyond restless. And you're absolutely right, Shane. They don't play a lick of D, and I just don't get it. Again, a lot of defense is like rebounding. It's want to. You've got size, athleticism galore. Galore. You've got 21 feet of 7-footers that you can rotate in and out. You've got athletic wings. You've got cat quick guards. And yet everybody just rolls into Lexington and puts up like 90-plus points. It shouldn't happen. It absolutely shouldn't happen, and it does. I was very high on that Kentucky team early. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know what to think now. And Coach Cal, he has a very unique contract situation, which has been very highly publicized. And he's so likable, and he continues to bring in elite talent. But I just get the feeling that Big Blue Nation is at a breaking point. They haven't made it to the second weekend since 2019. So if this team flounders in March, it's going to get really interesting. I think Kentucky fans, they are loyal to a point. And that last national title feels like forever, 2012. And that last Final Four feels like forever, 2015. They would be much obliged to have a deep run in March, but they're not going to do it unless they start playing a lick of defense.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love their guards, but and they got bigs, but they aren't defending like they need to. Um, the Gators have LSU this week. The LSU Georgia. LSU, I don't know what to make of them. They've won some conference games, but they're not a great team. What can you tell us that what do you know about LSU?
Well, like so many teams in this league this year, they do have a good point guard. It starts with Jalen Cook. He's the kid that they had to wait the old NCAA, which might be rendered like the dodo bird and the dinosaur when Sankey and Petiti get through with him. Uh, he went to Tulane and then they wouldn't grant him his waiver to come back home. He grew up like 40 minutes. I think it's east of Baton Rouge, but he's there now. He's good. They've got a couple of decent bigs. including Baker and Fountain. But they are not the level of Florida in terms of talent. And I think Matt McMahon, who I've got great respect for, the coach, I think he'd be the first one to tell you. They're just a different deal right now. I think Florida has advantages in that matchup across the board and should be able to take advantage of it. But I will say this: LSU plays hard. Like I said, they're well coached and they have enough talent where they can cause some problems. They do have some pretty impressive wins this year. I just think Florida right now, the way they're buzzing, these are the kind of games if you're Florida that you need to just win to remind everybody like, yeah, we're a cut above. Okay. We beat the teams we're supposed to beat. And oh, by the way, we can beat a Kentucky on the road. We can beat an Auburn at home. We can pick up those wins. I guess Kentucky was at home, but anyway, you get the idea. They can beat anybody in this league, and they should beat the teams beneath them.
Yeah. Looking at Alabama, they're fun to watch. I mean, they've scored over 100 points several times this year. But when I watch them play, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't, it goes back to the size. They don't really have any big men. If they don't shoot the ball well, which they're doing pretty well, if they don't shoot it well, they can't win. How far can Alabama go in your mind?
It seems like we ask this question every year, Shane, about a Nate Oates team. Like, are they a byproduct of being a great team, or are they a byproduct of being a good team that's only as good as their 3-point shooting that particular day? And that has, stubbed their toe a couple of times in the NCAA tournament, right? They've had a couple of losses that came earlier than we all thought would come because they win the SEC. I think the stat is 4 out of the last 7 times, COVID being the exception, of course, where you've had the chance to win the SEC regular season and the SEC tournament. I think Alabama's won it 4 out of 7 under Nate Oates. That is a strong number. And I have the utmost respect for the job that he has done. Remember, when they had Avery Johnson and Anthony Grant, they just couldn't score. Like
Right.
they got after you defensively, but they never scored, and so they didn't get to the tournament much. So I still love what he does, but you're right. They're not huge inside. They don't play an overly physical game inside. What they are, though, is when they're hitting threes at the rate they want to and can, they're almost unbeatable. But my concern for Alabama is the same as it is every year. When they're not hitting them, are you going to have enough to score? And are you good enough defensively? They don't have the Kentucky problems. They get after you better than Kentucky does. Kentucky, sometimes you wonder if they're even, if they're even like aware that defense is part of the game. Alabama does try. I just don't know if it's going to be good enough to make a run. That's going to be another question with the style of play that they have.
You called, I believe, the Arkansas game. They kind of had a down year. I think Debo Davis came back. Is that
He
correct?
did. Yeah, helped them win the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. They love their basketball there in Fayetteville. Um, do you see them progressing towards the end of the season here and making a run to try to get in the turn? I don't even know what their record is right now, but they've had a very disappointing year for
They
the Hogs.
have, yeah. I mean, they're a game above 500, so they basically would have to do. The last time I've seen a team like this get in the tournament, you got to go back to Nolan Richardson's 2020 team, and Nolan was on the hot seat. From what I'm told, he was all but fired, That Arkansas team finished fourth in the Western Division back when we had divisions. So they had to win 4 games in 4 days to make the tournament or their season was over, and they did it. That was the last, like what I would call shocking result in the SEC tournament. That's what they'd have to do this year. In this SEC, as deep as it is, I don't see that happening. I don't see like some Cinderella. So you'll hear the announcers come on and give the old cliche, anybody can win it. I'll tell you what, Shane, there's 14 teams here and anything can happen. No, that's not true. You got to play extra games when you don't get the bye. If you have to play on that first day, right, the 11, 12, 13, 14 seed, you don't have a chance. Not in this year's SEC. I think you've got like 9 teams that'll have legitimate chances to make runs in that, and then I think you have maybe 3, 4, 5 at the most that have enough to win it all. But I don't see Arkansas being able to pull that off this year.
Speaking of the Hogs, Andy wants to know how disappointed is Joe Klein with his Arkansas team?
Let me tell you, and I love Joe. First off, I get the best stories from Joe. I just say because I'm a lifelong Celtic fan. I'm like, Joe, Larry Bird stories. Give me 5 now. I'm buying beers. You just give me the stories. And he's just amazing. I mean, he was an All-American. He was an Olympian. He played with Jordan. He played everybody. But Joe cannot hide his frustration, not just because he's an Arkansas alum. Joe just doesn't like bad basketball. When I think of Joe during a game watching bad plays, I think of Shane Matthews in the radio booth on a Saturday. When you're not playing good football, I can feel your frustration, Shane, even if you don't say it. That's Joe Klein. If he sees bad basketball, if he sees bad shots, bad fundamentals, he just shakes his head, and I don't know what they're doing here, Mike. So, I mean, I just love that honesty about him.
Dennis Gates at Missouri. They have not won a conference game. I want to say they went to the tournament last year.
Yeah, won a game.
Any heat on him?
No. I mean, last year was his first year, and obviously took over a not so great situation. Was the belle of the ball, the toast of the town. He took a Missouri team that nobody thought highly of, got to the tournament, lost in the second round. This year, you lose a pro in Kobe Brown and a really good player in Demoy Hodge, and so what they're left with is a roster that's just not very good. So he's got 2 top 100 kids coming in next year. I would expect a big bounce back year for Mizzou.
Text here on the Titan Mar text line from William. He says, Mike, do you know if the SEC network will be carrying any SEC spring games this year?
So the last few years, almost all of them we've done. Like I had LSU last year.
But weren't they on like on the SEC Plus stuff?
Yeah. So and then I have to get into like company mode and remind everybody, if you get the SEC network, then you get SEC Network Plus. So if you're already paying for a cable bill or a streaming service that has the SEC network, you don't have to pay extra for SEC Network Plus. We used to do them all live, but I think they finally decided, no, this is not great TV. Let's do them on SEC Plus, which is live. But then what they do is they take a 2.5, sometimes 3-hour game, and they'll chop it down to a 2-hour block, and they'll replay the hell out of it all summer. That's what in the summer I would get text messages. Mike, I'm watching you do the LSU game for the 27th time. Like, yeah, it's a slow time of year. They're going to keep running that. But yeah, like the Florida game, without question, will be on either SEC Plus or SEC Network. But my guess would be, if everything remains the same, most of those will be on SEC Plus.
Yeah, because now I think they're carrying so many softball and baseball games, they probably don't have time.
Yeah, and the other thing is, Shane, I mean, you know this, like coaches used to take the spring game a little bit seriously, right? Like they would have it resemble a game. I remember doing a couple of orange and blue games at RUF back in the 90s when Spurrier was coach, and like, hey, Fred Taylor's getting a carry and the starting quarterback is getting to throw the ball a little. These coaches now are so paranoid that it's more of like drills than it is a game or even a glorified scrimmage. So it's not a great thing to watch. Really, the way I approach it, if I'm doing the games, it's more of like a 2-hour infomercial for the team and the program. Like, okay, let's get everybody up to speed. Who are the key players? Who are the key recruits? What are the expectations? We're not sitting there and going, boy, did he find the hole in the zone? Do you really think that 2 deep is going to be good this year? What about the extra pressure where you're not allowed to blitz? What about that hit on the quarterback where you're not allowed to hit the quarterback? So it's not a real game, but it's an excuse for us to talk football in the month of April.
Very true. All right, couple questions here. We'll get out of here. On YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Greg wants to know, how long will Jerry Stackhouse last at Vanderbilt? Wasn't he the coach of the year last year?
He might have won that for somebody. I mean, they were 11-7 in the SEC, and they made a little run in the tournament, and they actually were a bubble team when it was all said and done. And because of that, a lot of people were high on Vandy coming into this season. Honestly, I don't know. Jerry is his own dude. Like, he is going to do whatever. There's always the rumors of he wants to be in the NBA. How true of that is that? I don't know. Vanderbilt is not like your typical SEC school, if we're being honest, in that, if you're having the season the way Jerry's had, or if you haven't made NCAA tournaments in however many years, well, the message boards are going crazy and people are calling up or texting Shane Matthews and saying, fire him. This is unacceptable. We did. But that's not the culture at Vandy. It's just like it's not the culture for Clark Lee. Like, they want to win, but it's a smaller private school that doesn't have the same kind of fringe fans that continually call for a coach to get fired when he's having a bad year. So I honestly have no idea how that's going to work out. But certainly Jerry's had some good moments there. He just doesn't have a roster this year that's going to compete for big prizes.
Seems like he has so many guys hurt every year.
Yeah.
Last thing before we get you out here on the Titan More text line, Kevin in Punta Gorda wants to know our thoughts on what we thought about Kelsey's frustration last night with Andy Reid.
Wasn't a good look. I'm like, I
No.
get it. They have a relationship, and Andy Reid's a big dude. He's a former lineman, so it's not like your typical just like crushing a cockroach type of confrontation with a coach from a player. But it wasn't a good look. It gets glossed over because everybody could be happy and celebrate after a win. If you lose that game, I have a feeling we're all talking about that a heck of a lot more than it gets discussed.
Yeah, it happens a lot, and especially in the National Football League. It just it was a bad look. I agree with that. Mike, good stuff as always. You're on the you got one game this week or two?
I've finally have a week off. I've been living in a suitcase here for the last 2 weeks. So my next game will be Saturday. Yeah, so I've got Florida, Georgia on Saturday, and then I go back to the two a week rotation.
Well, the Gators had a week off and played very well. Maybe this will be your best broadcast of the year, getting a week off.
I hope so. I mean, obviously the storyline writes itself. It's Mike White going up against Florida, and some of the game in Gainesville was a classic. Remember, went into overtime.
Yeah.
Georgia came storming back, and obviously Georgia's in must-win mode here for a while, and they've hit the skids a little bit. So I'm expecting a good matchup and a good environment at the Stegman Coliseum.
Yeah. Good stuff as always, my man. Appreciate your time. We'll talk to you next week.
Love it, Shane. Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's Mike Morgan joining us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements, but brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Radware is a family-owned business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. I want to thank JC and Mike for joining us today. Tomorrow we'll have Buddy. I got a couple of people waiting to hear back from him tomorrow. Don't forget, Wednesday we'll have JC and Kevin O'Sullivan will be live on the program talking Gator baseball. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.